In today's video, we're gonna talk about the debt crisis that's going on in this country. And by the statistics, I know that most folks are in debt. It doesn't matter whether it's mortgage debt, car loan debt, or credit card debt, the worst of them all. We're gonna look at the statistics. And based on the statistics, you can see what's going on. Everything is spiking, but here's the problem. I know what that looks like. I know what that feels like because I was in debt, but I managed to get out. I got out of the rat race, the debt rat race. And I can show you how to do the exact same thing. But first we gotta understand where we're at, where we're gonna be going, how to get ahead of this and how to plan for this and how to use this. My name's Chris Naugle and this is What Now? What's next for debt? So let's just spend a second focusing on what's happening right now. And let's focus on the current economic landscape, but more specifically, the current debt landscape. If you look right here, the US national debt as of May 2025 is $36.21 trillion. That exceeds the statutory cap of $36.1 trillion, and they want to continue to keep raising it. I just saw something in the news today that they're talking about increasing the debt ceiling yet again. So what does all that mean? Well, it's such a big number for all of us mere mortals. It doesn't mean a whole lot because we can't even comprehend it. But what you need to know is we are pretty close to a point of no return. As a matter of fact, some would say we're already there. But when you compare us to countries like China, well, we're actually not looking nearly as bad as they are. But let's get down to what I think is the single most important thing, and that is our debt, household debt, American citizens' debt. This is the number I think you need to pay attention to, because this is the number I'm paying attention to. Check this out right here. Total number of US household debt, 18.04 trillion. So think about that. The US national debt is 36.21 trillion, but just household debt in this country is $18.04 trillion. But that number, again, is hard to wrap your head around. But this next number is not. The average household debt by household is $105,000+. That's right, $105,056 as of 2024. But here's the next thing. It's up 13% from 2020. So we're moving the wrong direction. We are increasing our debt. And this data all comes from the Center of Microeconomic Data. This isn't my opinion. So when we look at this, we look at the $18.4 trillion. And we look at that being $105,000+ per household. And we know that that number is going up. But this is the part that you need to pay attention to. Delinquencies and defaults are moving up quickly, really quickly if we focus on car loans and we focus on credit cards. So let's hyper-focus on cars. Yeah, we all have the ability to buy cars because we know how to finance them. I mean, we can buy them with cash. Very few people do that. And I show people how to get all the money back for every car they buy, drive, and own, doing it with the infinite banking concept. But sorry, shameless plug. And we can finance cars through a bank or finance company. We can lease cars and, well, you can steal cars. But I think there's an even bigger opportunity, and that is the car repossession business. Because check this out. As of 2024, there's an estimated 1.88 million vehicles that were repossessed. But this is the cool part. Out of those repossessed vehicles, they're up 23%. That means they repossessed 23% more cars in 2024 than they did last year, than they did in 2023. That, to me, is a business opportunity. 23% more cars being repossessed. Heck, go out there, get yourself some tow trucks, form yourself a company. It is AKA Repossession, whatever you want to call your company, but that's some big growth right there. But it makes perfect sense. When you look at the cost of living indexes and you look at what's happening there, the CPI increased 2.4% in the past 12 months, ending March of 2025. So what does that mean? Well, that means that as of March, everything is going up at a rate of 2.4%. But you remember like a year or 2 years ago, it was like 9%. So we're actually doing pretty good. We're pretty close to the Fed's target for CPI, Consumer Price Index. But while the Fed is getting close to their target of 2%, I just mentioned cars are being repossessed at a rate of 24% higher than the prior year. But not only that, let's go into the next stat, okay? Credit card debt. This is the big one. We are setting records, baby, records. That's right, $1.21 trillion. I remember just a couple years ago of doing a YouTube video talking about credit card debt, and if I'm not mistaken, it was like $800 billion. And we were like, oh my God. And now we're at $1.21 trillion. That means for every card holder they are carrying a balance of $7,321. So we got a little bit of an affordability problem because after the pandemic, inflation shot up, things got more expensive, or actually, let me be correct, your dollars bought less, which made it seem like things got more expensive, but everything got more expensive. So how did we fund this lifestyle? You're seeing it. Debt, debt, and more debt. And people are still using credit cards, still maintaining balances on credit cards. Oh, and by the way, the average credit card has an interest rate of over 20%. That's right, over 20%. Yeah, we're in a slightly high interest rate environment right now. So with all this being said, of course we have an affordability problem right now. We absolutely have an affordability problem when it comes to houses because right now, home ownership is out of reach for 75% of the American population. Isn't that freaking crazy? The median new home price is $459,826,000, according to the National Home Buyers Association. I can't even comprehend that. $459,826,000 for a new home. What happened to houses being like $180,000? Do you remember those days? Like a really nice house was $250,000. Now, like the average is $459,000. Yeah, we have an affordability problem that is affecting over 75% of the US population. So in order for people to live the lifestyle they want, it's almost imperative that they use debt. It's almost unthinkable to think that they won't be carrying car loan debt, house debt, mortgages that is, credit card debt. I mean, everybody's living in a debt-induced coma, and we just keep pushing it higher. Oh, I forgot about student loan debt, but that's for another day. So where does the bubble burst? Well, that's what's coming next. So let's dive into some of these predictions of what I think is coming next, but you see, they're not even predictions. You just follow the stats. Look at the trends. Look at where we're going based on where we're at today and where we were a year ago. Not hard to see where we're going right here. Here are a couple of the things that you need to understand. These are the things that are more than likely going to happen. You're gonna have people liquidating assets just to maintain their lifestyle, just to keep the roof over their family's head. They're gonna have to liquidate things. And they're gonna probably have to liquidate things at lower and lower and lower prices. Yeah, so for some, that's an opportunity to buy low. For others, that's a really bad place because now they got to sell things just to maintain their standard of living. The other thing that happens, and this has happened before, is increased dependency. That's right. People become more dependent on government subsidies. I hate that word, subsidies. And you know, there was a scientist back a long time ago, if I'm not mistaken in the 70s, that did a study using rats in a community, a perfect environment. And this perfect environment basically provided all the food that these rats would need, all the things that they would need to live a perfect life. So what they did is they kept reproducing and reproducing. And as they kept reproducing, it kept increasing how many rats were living this perfect life. Now you would think that that would just keep going, but it didn't. As it got tighter and tighter in there, and as resources kept getting used up faster and faster, the rats slowed down reproduction, right to a halt. And then there was internal turmoil within the rat community, this perfect living environment. And then eventually, there were no more rats. I'm not telling that story perfectly, and I'm not saying that's where we're gonna go, but we gotta get a handle on this because going to subsidies is not the answer. Because the more subsidies that people get, the less they work, the less that they chase their dreams, the less that they go out there and do the things that they need to do, which is creation. They just conform, because why wouldn't you? When you're given everything you need through subsidies, you just conform. But that's exactly what we're about to see, is an increased dependency on governments and government subsidies. And if you need to know what that whole study was called, it's called the behavioral sink. Google it. And this next piece of what will happen is emotional strain. You will see people become financially stressed out. You're already seeing it right now. I mean, people are literally at that tipping point. Rising financial stress, which we're starting to see, typically leads to mental health disorders and mental health problems, depression. And usually what that will lead to is poor decision making. Remember I mentioned people will start selling assets? Poor decision making. That's emotional-based decisions. And another thing that I think all of you have seen is divorce rates go up during times of economic uncertainty and difficulty. It's a shame, but that all plays into what I just said. But the next thing that's going to happen, and this is probably something we haven't yet seen, is social unrest. That's right, economic inequalities may cause civil disturbances and social friction. So what does all that mean? Internal squabbling. Remember I mentioned the rats and the disturbances? That was that study done by John B. Calhoun. Check it out. We will go through the exact same thing. Civil unrest. How do I know this? Well, we've been there before. Every other recessionary period, every other period where people were strapped and in a difficult financial place, that mental health problem turns into social unrest, turns into lots of issues. Well, anyway, it's called a desperate escape. That's right. And one thing I will tell you is you're better together than you are apart. So what do I mean by that? Well, your significant other, you two are gonna fare through this much better together than you are apart. So I know when things get rough, there's a lot of squabbling internally inside the family, stay together. You will get through it a lot easier together than you will apart. That's a fact. You know what else is a fact? You should click that subscribe button. Yeah, that's a fact. It's a fact because I'm always putting new content out. And you can see that new content by clicking that little bell right up above. There's a big bell. Just smash that bell like that. And that bell will notify you every time I put out new content so you can always know what's next. Hence the name of the show, What Now? What's Next? Well, let's talk about what's next. How you get ready. Isn't that the most important thing? You know, first I beat you up, I bring you down, I talk about social unrest and delinquencies and defaults, and now we're gonna just talk about how do you get ready? Well, first off, you change your mindset. You stop thinking doom and gloom, you stop conforming, you stop thinking that everybody owes you something, and you start creating, you start changing your mindset and be positive. Even in negative, there is positive. And if you focus on the positive, the glass half full mentality, you will absolutely fare better in this period of time. I know maybe you're in debt. I know maybe there's a whole bunch of things going wrong, but focus on the positives. You're alive. Your family's healthy. You're doing okay. So focus on that. And if you change your mindset and you focus on the creation side, focus on solving other people's problems, and hence, do you know that that's the secret to becoming wealthy? Solving someone else's problem. But so many people are caught up in this little bubble of just their world, their problem. Me, solve my problem, my problem, my problem. No. The secret is literally solving somebody else's problem, is focusing on your worthy idea every single day, putting it out in the universe, and most importantly, creation. So here is one of the most important things that I got from Earl Nightingale, but this is the Bible. Ask, and it shall be given to you. Seek, and you shall find. Knock, and the door shall be opened unto you. If those are the things that you focus on every day, that's positive thinking, and it's straight out of the Bible. One piece of advice I have for all of you to help your mindset is The Strangest Secret in the World by Earl Nightingale. Listen to it for 30 straight days, and that will absolutely change your mindset and get you focused on the right things. And one of the most important things you need to do is understand your finances. I know this helped me tremendously. They call it a budget. That's right. Figure out all your incomes, all your expenses, and then your debts. And let's just focus on where are you at? What is your surplus, or are you running a deficit? If you're running a deficit, well, we got to clean that up. And you know, in today's world, it's more difficult than ever. It's easier than ever because there are so many resources that you can use for free. There's apps upon apps upon apps to help you budget, to help you track. Are you using them? If you're not, start now. Because once you understand your budget, you understand where you're at and you understand what you can correct. I mean, listen, it's not hard to go through your credit card on a monthly basis and literally figure out where all your money is going or why your debt is going up and exactly what you're spending money on. Automatic deductions. Those crush people. You know, Netflix and all those things, the subscriptions. Heck, if you've got kids that use tablets, chances are they're buying games and you don't even know it. That's right, they're smart enough to do that. I have a almost 5-year-old, and she is smart enough to go on and buy games. I don't know how she figured it out, but I had to go in and cancel a whole bunch of them. She was spending like $400 a year on these subscriptions for games. Your kids aren't doing that? Are you checking your credit card statement? Are you sure they're not? They very well might be. Anyway, these are just different things you can do to thin out the expenses. Very important right now. And the last thing, which you should already know this, is something called the infinite banking concepts. It's a process, not a product. And the infinite banking concept allows you to take back the banking functions in your life. So if you've done your budget, if you've looked at all your debts and how much money you give away every single month to your debts, just add them all up. Your car payment, your credit card payments, your home equity line of credit payments, your mortgage, all of them. How much is that per month? Wow, that much? Yeah. But now, what if every month you got to write that exact check that you give away to yourself? What if you could? Oh, you don't think that's possible? It absolutely is possible. I did it, and so have thousands of our clients. They have applied the infinite banking concepts to their life. They have taken back the banking functions, which means all the money that they used to give away, all the interest that they used to pay the credit cards and all their debts, they now pay to themselves. They recycled and recaptured all the money they were giving away back to themselves. Now, this doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. But little by little, and through an organized system, which we will set up for you, this is what we do, folks, we will build your infinite banking solution. If it's debt, I've got tons of videos, and I'll give you a video at the end of today's video that shows you exactly how to pay off your debt in record time without changing anything in your life. You don't have to save more money. You don't have to do anything different than what you're doing now. You don't have to work longer either. You just have to change where your money goes first and apply one step. And that one step is the process I mentioned called the infinite banking concepts. It works every time if and only if you apply it in your life. So more on that in a second. Let's get to the end. And if you want to learn how to do that, there's a 90-minute video I created that teaches you exactly what the infinite banking concept is, shows you why it would make sense, and it shows you two things. Number one, how to get all the money back for every car you buy, drive, and own. And number two, how to pay off debt. And we give a real life example of how we did this for a chiropractor. So please watch the 90-minute video I'll put up at the end. Now, I know as soon as I said 90-minute video, a lot of you are like, oh, I don't have 90 minutes. I get it. But what if I told you that once you hit play, it won't feel like 90 minutes. It will go by fast. How do I know this? Because when I first sat down to watch that 90-minute video, because I was told I have to do a call with Mr. Brent to learn how to apply the infinite banking concepts, I was like, no way. But I sat down. I clicked play. 90 minutes went by like 10 minutes. I had 4 pages of notes and I had the solution. Folks, if you need the solution, it's right in front of you. Just leap. Just ask and you shall receive. Just knock and the door will be open. Just seek and you shall find the answers in the 90-minute video. And speaking of the 90-minute video, here it is. Click that button, watch the whole video. Make sure you do it when you've got a little time to sit down and put the attention to it because it is worthy of your attention. Because you just saw the statistics. You don't want to be part of those. As a matter of fact, I'm not allowing you to be part of any of those statistics. That's right. You're not going to be part of that crazy credit card debt, those crazy delinquencies, those crazy defaults. No, you're going to be the one that sits there and says, I solved it. I solved the problem. I fixed it, and I can show you how to do the same. The student will become the teacher. So check the video out. And folks, thank you for joining me for this episode of What Now? What's Next? We'll see you on the next one.